again, not to analyze you, but because I asked you before if you consider yourself a spiritual person, like I'm getting from what you're answering that you are spiritual because you're talking about having a relationship with God, even if it doesn't necessarily or not at all or partially fit within what would ordinarily be considered part of the, organized or Orthodox Jewish religion. But that doesn't mean you're not spiritual or anything like that. I mean, I can relate a lot, when I was, and we can tie this also to divorce. And I'm sure Ben also, we definitely want to get into your experiences there. I think that I had when I was going through the divorce, I was having these conversations with God. I still have them all the time. So I relate a lot to what you're saying in terms of, how do I relate to God? What's my relationship with God? Because, I'm, got a skull cap, kippa, yarmulke. I don't like to identify as anything. I've talked to Ben a lot about the idea of identification. I read a lot of books on yoga and, the idea of not identifying with anything. But if I had to be identified, I would say that I probably fit within the religious Jewish world. But at the same time, I definitely, there's things about religion that I can relate to what you're saying. And there's, just certain lifestyle decisions that I make that, that have that sort of friction with what maybe what the Bible calls for. And it's something I've struggled with a lot. At the same time, I accept a lot about myself. And I also think that, I don't know if would you say, I guess this is a long-winded comment / question. Would you say that the experiences you've had, both in childhood and the trauma you've experienced and also with, going through divorce, do you think that's played a role in how you sort of have looked at, the religious lifestyle?
Yes and no. Where I could say, like, my dad just like, listen, I think of him the way he's
religious, right? Well, he identifies
like
as religious.
Very red.
Very
all of a sudden, he came more from the left wing then, like Chicago, more modern, to like New York, like hat and jacket.
Hat like
but I'll tell you what type of that. Like my dad, had with this whole like therapy thing. Like it took me a lot of years to like finally be able to be in like the same room with a normal headspace. When I put him, he's 3. He's a 3. He's just constantly a 3. So he could sit there and tell me what to do as a child. Well, go to synagogue, be there on time, do this and this, and he wouldn't do it. So I automatically like didn't identify my father with my relationship with God. So from the beginning as a child, I never did, and I can never talk to him about anything. Like it's both my parents. Like I don't think I've ever talked to them about anything. It's just they're in my eyes, in my perspective, they'll never understand me, and they're not parents that know how to love unconditionally. Everything growing up always came with a condition.